George Papadopoulos, former Trump campaign advisor and author of Deep State Target, How I Got Caught in the Crosshairs of the Plot to Bring Down President Trump. Thank you very much for being here tonight, George. Good to have you with us.
Thanks for having me, Martha.
Thank you for being here. I want to dig in a little bit to the story that you talked to Maria Bartiromo about earlier today, but I want to first play this for you. This is John Brennan reacting to the news that now there is a new investigation by a U.S. attorney in Connecticut. Mr. Durham, listen to this.
Does CIA spy? Yes. Do we spy against our foreign adversaries? Yes. Do we spy against domestic individuals? No, we do not. We work very closely with the FBI.
What's your reaction when you hear that, George?
Well, I think the operation that was targeted against me in London by Professor Stefan Halper and this Azra Turk was clearly a CIA operation. And that's the reason why I was flown to London to be spied on, and why the British were also meeting with me and probing me the same exact day that these two figures were paying me and spying on me and recording my conversation. So when I hear John Brennan say this, I believe, yeah, usually the CIA doesn't spy domestically, and that's why they brought me to London to meet Stefan Halper and this informant, while the British were also involved in it. So I have to highly disagree with John Brennan, and I think the CIA is up to their neck in this.
Really? I mean, it's fascinating. And, I look at you and I think about all of the interviews that we've done over the course of this and how much skepticism so many people placed on your story. But now you have, and, I think that the fact that they are still looking into it, and the fact that the Attorney General is saying, not just the FBI, we also want to look at other agencies. That must be encouraging to you as someone who's been saying all along that you believed that there is CIA involvement here.
Well, you know what? I liked what Congressman Gowdy just stated about the prosecutorial abilities of Durham. And, I think Barr found his bulldog. Mueller had his bulldog, Wiseman. I think Barr found his bulldog in Durham. And I think you're probably going to see some people likely scrutinized, if not indicted, reaching up to the CIA. Because, most of my story, if not the overwhelming majority of my entire story, and the spying and the various entrapment operations targeted against me and likely others, were all based abroad. I was in London. Most of them were in London. Some were in Israel. Some were in Cyprus. My story had nothing really to do with Washington or New York. So, of course, when these intel agencies are, spying on me and basically trying to dirty me up abroad, the FBI doesn't have jurisdiction abroad. The CIA does. Yeah. So it's going to be very fascinating to see how Durham and Horowitz and Huber, what they find, and to see what kind of surveillance there really was on us. Because I mentioned earlier in one of these interviews I gave that immediately upon joining the Trump campaign, I was presented with foreign ministers, deputy prime ministers, energy ministers, State Department officials. So of course there was some sort of eye on me upon joining the Trump campaign immediately. And who put that eye on me? I'm pretty sure it was the CIA, not the FBI.
Very interesting. I only have about a minute left, but just the short version. You believe that Andrew Weissman, who was one of the 19 attorneys who was working on the Mueller report, you believe that he set you up with, somebody dumping $10,000 in your lap in Cyprus, I believe, or no, it was in Greece, right? Can you give us the thumbnail version of what you believe happened to you?
Absolutely. I had a random individual reach out to me to get into some sort of political consulting. He flies me to Israel and he drops $10,000 in my lap. I think there was something incredibly suspicious about it because I went to Israel thinking I'm going to be doing something, and then I go there and I find out that it was nothing what I agreed to do. I fly then the next day to Cyprus at the same exact day when Wiseman is in touch with Cypriot authorities about some sort of money laundering case that he's trying to put together. And then after that, I fly to Greece. I have dogs sniffing for money. I leave the money in Greece. I'm then arrested in a savage-like manner at Dulles with agents rummaging through my bags looking for money. So clearly this was some sort of sting operation. And by the time it happened, the special counsel was appointed. And this really smells of a Wiseman entrapment operation. And, I have the money still. My lawyers are keeping it safe in Athens. And I really want Durham, Horowitz, Barr, whoever's responsible to examine these bills.
Well, it's something like some out of a spy novel. And I know that, you've stated your suspicion against him. It's just a suspicion at this point that there was some involvement on Weissman's part. And we'll see where the story goes as it moves forward. George Papadopoulos, thank you, George.
Absolutely.
Good to see you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Martha. You too.
Bet.
Thank you.
Well, we have some exclusive details for you tonight related to the Russia probe. In a letter obtained by this show, an attorney who represents longtime Trump advisor Roger Stone has asked the White House to declassify any materials that would reveal whether Stone was spied upon by the FBI. There is some evidence that he was. And if he indeed was, he would, of course, join Carter Page and Paul Manafort as individuals connected to the Trump campaign who were spied on without their knowledge. So far, the White House has not commented on that letter. Michael Caputo is a former Trump campaign advisor, and he joins us tonight. Michael, thanks a lot for coming on. So this is a pretty straightforward request. It's an interesting request. Is there any reason that the White House wouldn't help the rest of us know whether Stone was spied on?
Well, first I want to make sure it's understood that I'm not in contact with Roger Stone. He's my best friend. But the court won't allow me to speak to him. I haven't spoken to him or contacted him in any way since the day he was arrested.
And let me just say, since I think we have a First Amendment still in this country, I don't know if
we do.
The judge acknowledges that. Why in the world could a judge tell you who you can talk to as an adult taxpayer in this country?
Right, and of course they didn't ever send me to the grand jury, the Mueller team. I'm not on any witness list, but for some reason, I think it's vindictive. We're not allowed to speak to each other. Roger and I have known each other for 30 plus years. Sometimes we talk 6 or 7 times a day. He talks me off the ceiling. I talk him off the ceiling in stressful times. But I haven't spoken to him since the day that he was arrested. I'm still kind of shocked about that. But I can tell you, I really believe that what the attorney for Roger Stone requested should be granted. In my opinion, it's not just Roger Stone. It's Carter Page whose surveillance documents need to be revealed. I mean, Roger may not, by the time this investigation of the Department of Justice is over, which is when we might see this material at the earliest, Roger Stone's trial may already be over. In fact, it probably will be. So, unredacting them and releasing them at that point doesn't help Roger Stone at all, doesn't reveal all of the chicanery and probably law-breaking that went into surveilling Roger Stone. But it's the same with Carter Page. And by the way, General Flynn in some way, shape, or form as well. There was a lot of surveillance going on, and we need to know what it is, and we need to know now.
Why wouldn't the White House help us know? That's what I don't understand. And General Flynn, you're exactly right. I mean, the Trump campaign was spied upon by the Obama administration. We know this. So why don't we have the right to know the details of it?
Well, a lot of this I don't understand, because if you remember about 3-4 months ago, the president said he was all set to declassify FISA documents and demanded email or text messages between all the different FBI agents who were plotting this whole hoax. And we never saw that stuff. A lot of this stuff I don't understand, but I'm sure the president has a plan. I've just visited the president in the Oval Office recently, and we didn't talk about Roger Stone. We were both careful not to. The president knows he's my best friend, and I know I met the president through Roger Stone in 1988. I know he's close with Roger. We were careful not even to mention his name. But I think the president's paying very close attention to this, and that the letter from the lawyer, I think he might heed it. I mean, let me tell you something. He and the First Lady knew chapter and verse of what my family went through, and I know the president's paying attention to far more people than just us.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see some pardons. A pardon of Roger Stone to begin. Michael, great to see you tonight.
I'm real worried about Don Jr. with this Senate committee. I really am.
I agree. The whole thing is insane. It rolls on.
It is.
Zombie investigation. Great to see you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Tucker.
All right, just 3 days into retirement, former Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein is not taking James Comey's attacks lying down, shall we say. The former FBI director has attacked Rosenstein's character at every chance he can get. But Rosenstein went out and he hit back last night. We were the very first to bring this to you, but let's watch it again.
Now the former director seems to be acting as a partisan pundit, selling books and earning speaking fees while speculating about the strength of my character and the fate of my immortal soul. That is disappointing. Speculating about souls is not a job for police and prosecutors.
Of course, he may not be doing that long, given that Barr has now assigned an attorney, John Durham, to look into just exactly what went down in 2016. Here with me right now, former FBI Assistant Director Chris Swecker. And Chris,
Evening.
Is Rosenstein right? Do you consider former head of the FBI, James Comey, now at this point just a partisan hack?
Oh, absolutely. He's a hyper-partisan hack. He's sitting in a glass house throwing rocks at everybody. Bill Barr, the president, Rod Rosenstein. And these are, Rosenstein and Barr are career professionals within the Justice Department. I think they both have a lot of integrity and professionalism. Unfortunately, Jim Comey does not. He's been embarrassing himself, and unfortunately, he's trying to take the FBI down with him. The good men and women of the FBI. We should be talking about their good work, not him.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's really, in some ways, sullied that reputation. I don't know if you heard me earlier, we were talking to Karl Rove, but I think we're going to learn some pretty bad stuff, just exactly how this all went down, and it's not going to be very flattering to the FBI. But as you said, it's not the rank and file, right? It's a few people at the top that are doing some really unethical stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately, you see corporations where their leader and the inner circle are the bad apples. I never thought we'd see it in the FBI. We had Jim Comey, McCabe, Strzok, Page. I mean, clearly they disliked the president. They allowed that to leak into their work and drive their work. Yeah. We had the leader of the FBI leaking, stealing memos, leaking, and then, of course, that debacle of a press conference where he violated every rule in the book. Rod Rosenstein was absolutely correct to go back at him.
Yeah, and Rod Rosenstein said last night, look, it's not something you do. I mean, it's what you said, Chris, right? You know, when you work for the FBI, you're not supposed to be that partisan. You're not supposed to be out with an agenda. And yet, Comey is. And by the way, I don't know if we have any of his tweets, but gosh, or Instagrams. He's better than, you know, certainly better than me. Probably better than some teenage girls on his Instagram account, you know, looking up at the trees and thinking and this and that. Lovely, artistic. Oh, there we go. See? Artistic looking photos. I mean, this is not normal, Chris, right?
No, it's not. I mean, I've served under 4 or 5 directors of the FBI. This is the only FBI director, and by the way, he only served for about 4 years.
Yeah, that's right. By the way, he used to work for a hedge fund. Ha ha. Don't forget that.
Yeah, I mean, he had the shortest tenure of any FBI director, but he did the most damage, and now he's sort of confirming what we thought about him on his book tour, and everything he does is partisan. He's in the mud wrestling pit. You know, it's unfortunate.
Maybe he's making money. Maybe that's what it all is about. I mean, ka-ching, isn't that sad? Because it should be about, especially in that kind of position, about a little bit more. But look, I think, Chris, a lot's going to come out. And unfortunately, it's not going to make the FBI look very good. But James Comey and maybe a few others will pay the price. Chris Walker,
I think there'll be some catharsis by going after the bad apples. That vindicates the rank and file of the FBI. You know, they're in there doing their work day in and day out. They're doing, you know, all kinds of things, drugs, terrorism, and here we are talking about Strzok, Page, and Comey.
What a distraction, truly.
Yeah.
It's good to see you. Thank you.